Power panel, Jessica Patterson, California GOP chairwoman, and Fred Hicks, Hicks Evaluation Group founder and president. Great to see both of you. Fred, the only strategy that I can see is for her to not actually say that I no longer stand for Medicare for all. I no longer stand for a ban on fracking into a microphone on a camera because they're worried about the Trump campaign putting ads together of her disavowing these far, far left policies that would decimate the United States.
So I understand why you would say that and why our viewers might be tempted to believe that. But there was a little thing between 2019 and 2024 called COVID. And there was a little thing between 2019 and 2024 called inflation and a lot of economic concerns. But we know as of right now, inflation is at its lowest point since April of 2021, 3 months after they took office. And we know that a lot of things have changed over time. So while I think people in the Trump campaign might want to call it flip-flopping, the reality is that she has adjusted to where we are today. And that's the thing about politics and I think life, that you have to reflect where you are today. And I'm not concerned about the Harris campaign and its policies and its strength right now because we've now seen that she's wiped away in the swing states and in national polling the deficit that Biden had when she became the nominee or the presumptive nominee on July 21st. And in time, when it's time, she will do that. But we have the convention next week and we'll hear a lot more from her between now and then.
We're going to get to those swing state polls in just a second. Jessica, listen to this, and I'm going to get your reaction to what Joe Rogan had to say, warning Wednesday that Kamala Harris could win because of the treatment that she's getting from the liberal media.
People are like, he's old, she's young. Like, have you seen her mistakes? This is crazy. The gaslighting is nuts. It's the same gaslighting they did to turn Trump into a monster. Now they're doing that same gaslighting to turn her into our future, our hope.
Yeah.
And it's working. It's crazy to watch.
It's the gaslighting also, Jessica, that inflation has been beaten. That was straight out of Joe Biden's mouth, when in fact, this is the permanently new high level of prices in this country. And that's not anything to celebrate because the prices are continuing to go higher. Mortgage rates, the cost, the monthly payment on a home in this country are more than double they were 3.5 years ago. And this is, again, no daylight between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
It's absolutely wild that we're a few days out from the DNC, and we still don't know where their presumptive nominee is on many of these issues. And the reason why it's been allowed is because the mainstream media has allowed it. Authenticity matters. Defending your record absolutely matters. She is going to have to go out there and do press conferences, answer questions from the media. She is going to have to defend her record of 20 years. This isn't just the last 3.5 years. It's a 20-year record where we have seen where she has been in elected office. It is absolutely foolish to think that when she is elected president, she is suddenly going to be different than the person she has shown us she is over the last 20 years.
And I will pick this up. Fred, you mentioned this, but the latest Cook report shows that Vice President Harris is up or tied in every battleground state except Nevada. And many say Harris's good numbers, however, won't last. Listen.
So you're going to have this 30-day honeymoon period. Things will settle.
These polls are a great reminder that Kamala's honeymoon period is completely the result of media hype.
They get a bump up, in this case, a little bit of a honeymoon with a new person at the top of the ticket.
The honeymoon's going to come and go, and then Donald Trump is going to beat Kamala Harris to become the 47th president of the United States.
And a new Fox News poll shows that former President Trump and Vice President Harris are in a dead heat nationally. Trump leads Harris by 1 point, easily within the margin of error. CNN's data analyst with this warning for Vice President Harris.
If you've been following the campaigns of Donald Trump through the years, you know that he's won or came close to winning, despite the fact that he was not a popular individual. He's actually more popular now than at the same point in either the 2020 or 2016 campaign. The question for the Harris campaign is, wait a minute, maybe we shouldn't take things for granted because Trump has won when he has been so unpopular in the past, and now he's more popular than he's basically ever been. Maybe this guy really is going to be tough to put away.
Fox polling also finds that voters trust Trump more on issues they say are their biggest concerns: the border and immigration, foreign policy, the economy, and crime. Fred, how, from a Democrat perspective, how does she hang on to this lead? The honeymoon is the word that gets used over and over again.
Yeah, no, I don't think this is a honeymoon. I don't think it's a moment. I think it's a movement. Now, I think in order to really understand the numbers, you have to understand what she was facing on July 21st. You know, as I just mentioned, Democrats were down 3 to 5 points, depending on the national poll, on July 21st, and Democrats were down in every swing state. So to go in just a 4-week time period from being down 3 to 5 points to a tie nationally, and a tie and or ahead in the swing states, is really tremendous. We're talking about a point and a half every single week improvement for the vice president, on top of the hundreds of millions of dollars she's raising. And so I think that if history holds, coming out of the convention next week, we should see her pick up another 2 to 3 points. So when we come back, we should see her at 51, maybe 52%, and Donald Trump holding fast where he has all the time. So the one big thing for Donald Trump is that he's a very consistent performer, whether you're talking about 2016, 2020, or even now. And so Democrats, we understand the mountainous climb there that is ahead, but we had to go from the deficit to this point of being even before you can go ahead. And so, listen, this is still a long way to go with 80 plus days. And there's a lot of movement left to happen out there. But the fact that she's been able to do this in this short period of time indicates that there's something really big out there. And that at least part of that is that people are dissatisfied with Donald Trump, who would be the oldest president ever if he's elected.
Jessica, but at least initially, and I'm certainly not the first person to say this and won't be the last, it is a reaction to just getting rid of Joe Biden off the ticket. It was their hatred of him as a candidate that has led to this kind of surge of relief. We talk about relief rallies on Wall Street. This is kind of a relief lift in the polls for Harris.
It's going to take a lot more than just relieving the American people that you are not Joe Biden. And in fact, you are part of the Biden-Harris administration. Every single one of these decisions, you have been the last person in the room. Every failure, from foreign policy to the economy to our border to public safety. She is not only going to have to defend the last 3.5 years, but the last 20 years of her record. She has shown us who she is. And that is going to be when the American people start seeing all of her policies, when she has to do those press conferences, when she has to debate, when she has to defend her record. That is when you're going to see that the honeymoon is over.
Yeah, we've got to run. I'll just finish with when an anvil or two anvils have been tied around the necks of the American people with inflation and sky-high interest rates, where they had to run up their credit card debt just to cope with the inflation. And Americans are paying $250 billion just in credit card payments every single year. When Americans are suffering carrying around those twin anvils, I think that Vice President Harris might have to say, I got you, more than just, I got you, trust me, I'm on top of this, to reassure people about the direction of the country in terms of the economy. Jessica Patterson and Fred Hicks, thank you both so much. Great to see you.
I'm Steve Doocy. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.